Hi, I'm Ken Kersey. I graduated from Oklahoma State University in 1979. I majored in marketing. I actually interviewed with the company I've spent my whole career with. The company was called Jostens Publishing, and I actually worked with Jostens for 40 years. Retired in March of 2019. Yeah, so when I first started out at Jostens, I was actually a trainee. I actually worked with another representative, and I worked in Oklahoma and traveled for about 6 months just learning the business. We dealt with schools, so our goal was to print yearbooks for as many schools as we could get. So it was basically a publishing consulting job, but it was a sales job more than anything else. My full career within a year in the Tulsa area. And at the time, Jostens had 13 schools. And when I retired in 2019, I had contracts with 502 schools in Oklahoma. I think the most important thing about yearbooks is that as far as schools are related, it's the only thing that captures a printed history of that calendar year or that school year. I know today's are cell phones, multimedia, internet, all that. None of that was around in 1979. But I still think a lot of that's going to get lost today. I just don't think you can replace the print yearbook. I mean, to be able to sit down and look at it, this was my 79 graduating yearbook, and occasionally I'll look through it and look up old memories and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. I think that's the most important thing, though, is it's the only printed history of that calendar year.
What do you think about the digital archives for OSU's yearbooks?
I actually just recently looked at that, and I was really amazed at the quality of job they did. So I think that obviously is the future. But, you wouldn't have that digitized copy of it if you didn't have the original printed copy of it.
Yeah.
So I think there's a marriage between the two products. So one of my jobs was to, grow as many accounts as I could. And our major market was the high school market. But, so that's what I attacked, was the high school market, and really had a lot of success and printed the majority of the schools in the Tulsa area, all the high schools. And as I was growing, I would hire an additional person to be on my team. And we just kept growing and growing and growing. And eventually we really targeted the college market. And that was my goal. I wanted to print my alma mater. I did East Central High School, where I graduated in 1975. And then in 1987, I ended up having the opportunity to publish the Redskin at Oklahoma State University. In addition to that, I also printed for a number of years Oklahoma State University Veterinarian Medicine book. Also, I ended up having the opportunity to work with Oklahoma Osteopathic Medicine in Tulsa, and I signed that account and printed that for 20-something years. But that was pretty neat, because I would go in and again work with these students that were going to become doctors, and we'd be in the cadaver room and all that. So it was quite an experience, but my goal was to work with Oklahoma State. I'm very proud of it. Back in 79, I believe we had a 560-page yearbook and 8,300 copies. It was the largest press run in the Big Eight at the time. It's called the Big Eight Conference. So it was a big press run. But what they did is everybody through your fees ended up getting a yearbook. That did become a big problem for Oklahoma State University, because a lot of students, especially commuters, wouldn't come and pick up their free yearbook. And so it became a storage issue. They had a tremendous amount of yearbooks left over, but they had to order them for everybody because it was in the student fee. Then they ended up taking it out of the student fee, and you could check if you wanted a yearbook. And I believe That year, there was a little over 5,000 yearbooks they printed. And then finally they took it totally out and they just made it as an option to go ahead and just sell the book, like online sales. And I think the last year was 1991, they printed the book. They just didn't have the budget. I think they printed less than 3,000 copies that year, and still people didn't pick those up. So it's more of a issue with budget and the way they handled it. But I think there's a happy medium. I mean, there's still a lot of major colleges, the Armed Forces, colleges like the Air Force Academy and the Naval Academy, and most of the colleges back in the East, they still print yearbooks and sell them like crazy. Yeah, actually, when I went to work for Jostens in '79, it's really kind of scary. When we submitted our yearbook pages, they had to cut and paste the photographs on a mounting board and the copy, and they submitted the pages what we call camera ready. Jostens was the very first company. We've always been innovators, and we were the very first company to come out with an online software program. And at that time, it really changed the dynamics of how we prepared, the schools prepared the pages and how we received them. So technology has been just a major factor in all of the growth of Jostens. But to make the yearbook relevant, that's what we've always done, is we've always stayed ahead of technology and tried to make the yearbook more inclusive and more customized to each individual student as well. So it's been quite a journey. I think high school yearbooks will be around forever. I'm very proud of graduating from Oklahoma State University and learning what I call marketing and being positive as far as setting goals and stuff like that. So being in college really prepared me for that next step. And I'm very proud to represent Jostens for 40 years. It was the only company I worked for. And with that being said, my son is now the rep in Tulsa. So Jostens has been a family-oriented business forever. And, there is fourth generation families working in this business. So we've always been at Jostens innovators and always tried to have, inclusivity to everybody in the school. And that's just one of the key things about the opportunity.
My name is Dustin Kersey. I work for Jostens. I have worked for Jostens for over 19 years. So what we're trying to do is we don't want to get rid of the coffee table yearbook because we know the kids will want to look at it 10, 20, 30 years down the road. But we do need to make it more what this generation is into, which is more digital. So we are coming out with more digital components for the yearbook, but we will not be wanting to get away from the coffee table yearbook. We just know the yearbook, holds the key to the memories, where Facebook, Instagram, and all that, you never know if it will be around forever. Like whenever MySpace was in, we thought yearbooks were going to decrease because of MySpace. Then MySpace went away. So we don't want you guys to lose all your memories. And the main thing about the yearbook is it captures the memories from the whole community, where, you're just getting pictures of you, your friends, where when you guys look back 20, 30 years, you're going to want to look back at your whole life of high school and not just the little bitty pieces. We did see a massive decrease, of course, because of COVID, where not many events were happening, and so and nobody wanted to spend the money on one, and then schools just got out, so they didn't even get to have distribution events or even finish them. But now that COVID has passed and now more events are happening and the school spirit is getting higher, we are seeing an increase in copies again this year, thank goodness. So we know the kids still care. They're still buying them. The parents are buying them. It was just a rough, of course, last couple of years with no events happening and we couldn't be in the buildings to help. And now it's almost back to increasing, and the kids are having fun again, and they're getting excited about the yearbook. Here in just a little bit, I can't wait because we'll have tons of distribution events, and I will try to be at as many of them as I can to see the excitement of the kids remembering the school year as they get to finish one this year. So I grew up in the industry, got to see everything he was doing, thought I would love it, which I do, and I actually followed in his same footsteps where I graduated December of 2003 from Oklahoma State. They were sending me my quizzes, tests, yearbooks, stories, everything I was having to study for, because as soon as I graduated from OSU in December, I started working for Jostens in December and had to go straight from finals to training at Jostens in January and February. So I followed in the same footsteps as my dad.